And we begin with Hong Kong, where hundreds are gathering to stage a massive demonstration against the decision to ban face masks. Face masks, which have been a highlight of the protests so far, have been outlawed by the Hong Kong government. In addition to this, Hong Kong has announced that emergency measures will be imposed in the city. The move is likely to further enrage the protesters, with demonstrations planned across the city over the weekend. Starting tomorrow, the enforcement of emergency measures means that Hong Kong's Chief Executive Carrie Lam can suspend civil rights, censor media, control public transport and promulgate any law that the government believes to be in public interest. It also means that protesters will now be banned from wearing masks during the protests. This probably represents one of the biggest violations of the one country, two systems arrangement. It would also amount to the tightest form of crackdown since protests began 17 weeks ago.
The Chief Executive in Council decided at a special meeting this morning to invoke the power under the Emergency Regulations Ordinance and make a new regulation in the name of Prohibition on Face Covering Regulation, which is essentially an anti-mask law.
Protests are expected over the 18th straight weekend, starting tomorrow over the shooting of a teenager. But the Hong Kong government defended the police officer's action, saying that it was done in self-defense. WION World is One's Grace Lee now joins us live from Hong Kong with the latest update. Grace Lee, talk to us. There are bigger demonstrations being planned and staged as we speak.
Right, so I'm standing here in Hong Kong's Central District, the main financial hub of the city, and it's about 8:30 p.m. here. And the streets are completely empty. This road behind me is a major road. And of course, protesters have blocked access to most of Hong Kong's major roads here in the hub of the city. And they're all now marching towards the legislative buildings, I believe. But just to recap what happened here today, Hong Kong's government has passed a sweeping ban on face masks, which will come into effect in just a couple of hours. And Hong Kong's protesters and people have responded here by taking to the streets, most of them with masks on. So the big question becomes, the deadline is just a couple of hours away when this becomes an illegal act. But how will they stop hundreds, if not thousands of people who are out on the streets right now wearing these masks in protest? So we'll have to look for the government and police response to what's currently happening in Hong Kong right now.
All right, that's Grace Lee reporting live from Hong Kong. Grace, as far as the situation is concerned, right now it seems like it is a powder keg of a situation with violence, the possibility of violence breaking out any moment.
Yes, and we've already seen some escalations close to where I'm standing here. Protesters were burning down anything to do with China. There were some Chinese posters up for China's National Day, which was just a couple of days ago. And protesters built a bonfire out of it pretty much while they were erecting these barricades. And of course, they vandalized a couple of businesses that are known to have ties with Beijing. So certainly things have already escalated here. There's a very heavy police presence at all the key areas, including the Chinese embassy here in Hong Kong. So definitely police are out in full force. They've probably been expecting this kind of uproar over this new law. So the big question, of course, again, is what happens at midnight.
What happens at midnight is the big question in Hong Kong. Grace Lee reporting live on the latest from Hong Kong. Thank you, Grace, for joining us here on WION Dispatch.